Manny, good evening. Thanks very much for your time. Before we get to what you believe will be a solution to the issues that you are raising in the form of a grant, of a basic income grant, you looked at the causes for and the options to address structural unemployment in South Africa. And what did you find?
Well, South Africa has a unique history in a lot of circumstances. But the main issue around structural unemployment is that it is so entrenched in our whole life, in our whole world. So it's very difficult to break out of structural unemployment because it's not just about the number of jobs, it's about people's ability to get to their jobs. So we've got the apartheid superstructure where you've got jobs in the middle of town and a whole lot of people outside of town who are not able to access affordable transport to get into town to find jobs. So it's a very, the whole structure of our society is problematic in terms of creating jobs. And on top of that, we have an economy that is built on value extraction. So the mining industry, for example, is very concentrated. It doesn't create a lot of jobs. And the value that comes out of it either goes overseas or stays in the hands of the few. So, on top of the structural infrastructure and education issues, you also have a problem around the gap or the inequality levels, the Gini coefficient, which is basically the gap between the richest and the poorest in the country, and South Africa has the highest Gini coefficient in the world. So the gap between the richest and the poorest is the biggest, and that causes a lot of problems. So you need an economy that creates jobs, but you also need to understand that you have an economy that's not structured to do that. And so if you have that, what interventions can you put in place to firstly have a safety net for people who are living in dire poverty? And over half of South Africa's population lives in poverty, which is shocking. So we need to have some kind of mechanism to get people out of that poverty, but also to give them agency so that they can get a job or take on some kind of entrepreneurial activity that can assist them. And that's why we are pushing for,
Well, it was, I think you were going to my next question, which was whether a basic income grant is, the best way to achieve that.
Yeah. Well, from, globally and even in South Africa, income is, we're calling for a comprehensive social security system because, I think, a basic income grant is one component of that, but you also need to make sure that you have other mechanisms in place like education, like healthcare, like effective transport. You need a solid social structure around the basic or around an income grant in order to make sure that it has any impact at all. But globally and in South Africa, there's very clear empirical evidence to show that when income grants and when social security is implemented effectively, it has a direct impact on decreasing the gap between the rich and the poor, and it also has an add-on effect of actually creating jobs or creating livelihoods around the money that people are able to get.
Now,
and reducing poverty, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Now, your statement criticizes what you call, and I quote, piecemeal attempts to address the challenges that you have identified. What are those piecemeal attempts?
Yes. Well, there are a few, but the biggest one has been the expanded public works program, which has typically been very kind of low-level interventions where people are given jobs for 3 months, 6 months, doing really menial jobs like road works. You see, I mean, everyone's seen people on the side of the road, either cleaning the road or, you know, helping with repairing roads. And those jobs move as the road gets repaired. So those jobs will come in, they'll give people work for a little while, and then they're gone, and people are left hanging, and had some hope that was then taken away. So, and that's not employment. It's not, you know, it's not empowerment either. In fact, it's effectively disempowerment.
Okay, Mandy, thanks very much for your time. That's where we're going to leave it for now. Unfortunately, Mandy Musuris, who is the National Education Training and Research Manager from Black Sesh, they're advocating for a comprehensive social security that will, of course, include a basic income grant.